Hello and thank you for joining us today at Distracted by Life. Our podcast is all about making change within yourself and your relationships. We share conversations, stories, and explore ideas coming from our lifelong journey of the high points and especially the low points where we learn to face our fears or cope with pain, loss, and failure. We do this in a discovery quest to establish patterns around our past and understanding whether we are tripping up from our past or being held hostage by it. We work on identifying ways to move forward, aligning our core values, and unlocking the keys to self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-compassion, and letting go of what is not serving you positively in life. A better you is always there, ready to explore in a new world. So let's begin.
Turn on the radio, open your emails, or flip on the TV and you're sure to get barraged with bad news. There's a temptation to shut down. It's a lot to take in after all. Life can get us down, but there are ways to maintain hope in your life. For those who believe we can still make a difference in our planet, I encourage you to hang in there as we share 3 ways in keeping hope alive. With us is Amal. Hi Amal, and welcome.
Hi Dan. I have to say I do love this topic, but I always love a bunch of other topics as well in our podcast. I love this topic because it's never enough to actually talk about hope, and we truly need to keep it alive so we can carry on. It's important that the first step we can do is to name how we feel and not hide from our emotions. When we have the courage to name and explore our feelings, our heart opens. Our hearts break open so we can actually experience love. In other words, our pain and suffering in our life or for the world reveal the love that lies underneath those emotions. This is the heart of discovering intrinsic hope, a light that allows us to carry on. Kate Davis, an author and a teacher whose life work is steeped in environmental and social issues, talks about remaining hopeful in her new book, Intrinsic Hope, Living Courageously in Troubled Times. Davis talks about habits of hope to nurture intrinsic hope, and I thought it would be really great to share them here in the podcast. They're very simple, starting with being present, mindfulness and meditation as ways to be present. That's a lot of, we can speak enough about in order to cultivate that present moment is the practice of mindfulness and meditation that help us to get there. But also she includes less obvious ways such as, wonder, being in the presence of something truly amazing, and witness as a way to stay present. It basically, being in the presence of something truly amazing, it transcends that mundane and everyday kind of typical day-to-day things that we experience in our life. It also humbles us and lifts us and expands our awareness. The importance of bearing witness as a way to stay present. The power here is actually to observe and report on what you have witnessed, whether it was good or bad. It keeps you in the present because you leave your judgment and ideas aside. The other one she speaks about is loving the world. In loving the world, we become hopeful because that is the stance of love. At the core of this practice actually is an open experience of love combined with a deep sense of compassion. Another way of loving the world is to nurture a sense of community. This is actually not a rocket science. It's about being kind and thoughtful and a caring human being. Someone who recognizes that what unites us is more important than our differences and that we are all part of the human community. Call it compassionate humanity that bind us. The third one she mentioned is taking action, which I thought really actually insightful here, because the opposite of not staying hopeful is basically giving up and not taking any sorts of actions. So taking action is the power of this practice in transforming an insubstantial thought into something tangible. It breaks us out of actually apathy and denial. Hopelessness leaves us paralyzed. So when it arises, it's important to do something positive. Call a friend, hug somebody that you care about, smile at a complete stranger, even as far as, cracking some jokes. This will bring you back to the moment. And from there, decide what small step you can take to help the environment or even yourself. Start with something small and then let that contribution grow. It doesn't have to be a huge grand gesture. You just have to start somewhere. So taking small actions that will end up adding to great and significant overall contribution. Ultimately, we cultivate a deep, abiding trust in whatever happens and in the human capacity to respond to it. This is very different than having the belief that life will give us what we want. This intrinsic hope accepts life just as it is and works with it, whether or not it's what we actually want. So the book offers the message that intrinsic hope is a resource that cannot be used up. It's inherent in life and motivated by love. The more we live from intrinsic hope, the more we have. In this moment, in this time, choosing to be hopeful in this way allows more room for breath and more room for life. Thank you for tuning in with us. Remember habit of hopes, being present, loving the world, taking action. Until next time, you make the journey worthwhile. May you be filled with hope and peace. Back to you, Dan.
Well, thanks, Amal. And thank you very much for joining us here at Distracted by Life. If you're interested to learn more, check out our other podcasts, of course, or hop online to Amal's website at amalcandido.com, where she talks about her coaching world, covering life, leadership, and mindfulness, including links to popular podcasts and to her books as well. With that said, stay tuned for our next episode. From Amal and myself, thanks again, and talk to you soon.